Good morning and welcome to Whitworth Cemetery, just outside Rochdale, Greater Manchester. Right, today we are here to find the final resting place of a young lady that sadly had her life taken from her at the hands of 4 others, although only 2 of them were actually convicted of murder. The person we are here to see today is Sophie Lancaster. Yeah, Sophie Lancaster, she was different from most other girls because she was a goth. And it was because of that that she was murdered. She jumped in to defend her boyfriend, who was also a goth, who was getting beaten up by a gang of youths. She jumped in to make sure he didn't get too badly hurt, and in doing so, she herself was actually killed, whereas the boyfriend survived. But anyway, what I shall do is I shall spin you around. We'll have a look around this lovely little cemetery while I tell you about Sophie Lancaster.
Sophie Lancaster was born on the 26th of November 1986 in Lancashire, England, to parents Sylvia and John. She also had a brother named Adam. Sophie was a girl with a unique sense of style. She was interested in books, video games and the goth subculture. She went to Backup and Rawtenstall Grammar School and Haslington High School. Her love for books led her to enrol in Accrington and Rossendale College to study English literature. However, she was taking a gap year in 2007. Sophie's boyfriend, Robert Maltby, was an art student from Manchester. The two of them met through mutual friends and fell in love instantly because they had a similar style and liked the same music. The couple were together for 3 years at the time of the incident. They shared an apartment in Backup, a town with a bad reputation for racism and intolerance. Unfortunately, neither knew what would happen to them on the 11th of August 2007. On the 10th of August 2007, Sophie and Robert visited their friend Jonathan. They arrived at his place at around 9 p.m. and just socialised. The group talked and had a couple of drinks. At 11:40 p.m. the couple decided it was time to make their way home. They made a stop at the local service station because they had run out of cigarettes. There they bumped into a group of teenagers who were fascinated by the couple's piercings and Sophie's unusual hairstyle. She had dreadlocks at the time. Sophie and Robert were always friendly, so they started chatting with the teens. They shared cigarettes with them and the teens invited them to the fudge factory. This area was well known among the younger population, so they accepted the offer. At 1 a.m. the group was passing through Stubberley Park, where they were greeted by more teenagers. The whole group was now chatting, smoking and drinking. Out of nowhere, one of the teenage boys attacked Robert without any provocation. The attack surprised Robert and he started to laugh nervously. Robert's reaction enraged the aggressive teen and he rallied the rest of his friends to join in the assault. 5 of the teens were now kicking and punching Robert. He fell to the ground and the group proceeded to kick him in the head. Meanwhile, Sophie screamed for them to leave Robert alone. She saw that her boyfriend was unconscious and lunged to protect him. The boys ignored her screams and proceeded to attack her too. One teenager who was present at the park would later say that the attackers focused on Sophie's head and kicked her repeatedly. Meanwhile, the police had received an emergency call from the park and rushed to the scene. Officers and paramedics were equally shocked by what they saw. Sophie and Robert were unrecognisable. Their faces were so swollen that the police couldn't determine who was who. Both Robert and Sophie were taken to Rochdale Infirmary and were in a coma. However, Sophie's head injuries were more severe. Robert suffered from a brain injury, but he made a full recovery. The attack had caused him to have memory loss and so he couldn't remember anything from the night of the assault. Sophie was on life support and was moved to Salford Royal Hospital. A team of neurologists determined that the damage to her brain was serious and she was never going to regain consciousness. Sophie Lancaster died from her injuries on the 24th of August 2007. Even though the group of teenagers who attacked the couple fled the scene immediately, eyewitnesses gave police enough detail regarding their identity. Lancashire police took a closer look at the teens in the park at the time. In the end, they turned out to be just bystanders. Then the police zeroed in on the 5 attackers. Almost all of them were in custody within days. Their names are Ryan Herbert, Daniel Mallet, Brendan Harris, Joseph Holm and Daniel Holm. Ryan Herbert was just 15 years old at the time of the attack. He was a known bully who would often attack those who were smaller than him. The residents of Backup were very familiar with him and his antics. Joseph and Daniel Holm are brothers. Joseph was 16 at the time of the attack, while Daniel, like Ryan, was only 15. The older brother was often regarded as a leader and was part of a gang at school. Daniel was younger and easily influenced by Joseph. Daniel Mallet was 17 and the oldest of the group. Those who knew him at the time described the teen as non-aggressive. He didn't fit with the rest of them. And finally, Brendan Harris was another bully who often attacked his classmates without any reason. The group was first charged with grievous bodily harm, but this changed to murder after Sophie succumbed to her injuries on the 24th of August 2007. According to the teens, Herbert was the instigator, and he attacked Robert first. After the interviews, Lancashire police determined that Harris was the aggressor too. The parents obstructed the investigation by providing the boys with false alibis, but the blood evidence on Herbert's clothes confirmed that he was at the scene and heavily involved in the attack. Initially, all of them pleaded not guilty. All 5 teens appeared in court on 10th of March 2008. They pleaded guilty to grievous bodily harm, while only Herbert pleaded guilty to murder. The murder charges against Mallet and the Holm brothers were dropped. On the 27th of March 2008, Harris was found guilty of murder. 1 month later, Herbert and Harris were sentenced to life imprisonment. Herbert has to serve a minimum of 18 years and Harris a minimum of 16 years. The Holm brothers were convicted of grievous bodily harm and sentenced to 5 years and 10 months each. Daniel Mallet was also convicted of grievous bodily harm and sentenced to 4 years and 4 months imprisonment. Sophie Lancaster was laid to rest at Whitworth Cemetery in Lancashire, England, which is where we are today.
Well, that's all the information I could get on Sophie Lancaster. Now, our final resting place is just over here to my right. So I'll spin you around and we'll go and have a look at it together. Right, our final resting place is just along here. Lovely sunny morning this morning. Better than the last time I was out anyway. Right, here it is. This is a final resting place of Sophie Lancaster. In loving memory of Sophie Louise Lancaster. 26th for the 11th 1986 to 24th for the 8th 2007. Always an individual, never a copy. Sylvia Helen Lancaster. 26th for the 11th till question marks. Never seen that before. 12th for the 4th 2022. Celebrated difference, fought intolerance, loving Nana. It's nice. That is the final resting place of Sophie Lancaster. Well, that was the final resting place of Sophie Lancaster. What an absolute tragedy that was. She was so brave, jumping in to protect her boyfriend. And they turned on her just because they looked different. This country's really gone feral with these kids. No one's got any control over their kids anymore. But anyway, that's the end of another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, then maybe consider subscribing. It's absolutely free, it doesn't cost you a penny. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. Anyway, that's it. That's me, Darren, from just outside Greater Manchester. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.